each other that's on the line, having an opportunity to explore what different people are doing, interests that different folks have. We love to take the opportunity just to open up the floor to have general networking conversation. When we're doing this in person, you could walk around, grab some chicken wings and some pizza and just mingle. But unfortunately, the pandemic is the pandemic and it doesn't seem to want to alter just yet. So we have to find new, unique, creative ways to just engage and again, lift one another up. So with that, first, as always, want to give a little bit more of a background of BDPA Atlanta. My name is Victor Montgomery. I am the current president of BDPA Atlanta and pretty soon to be immediate past president of BDPA Atlanta. And within BDPA Atlanta, what I say is it's like a three-pronged approach, right? So the message is from the classroom to the boardroom. So we have activities that focus on K through 12, collegiate, as well as professional. And what we do is we take each of those pillars and ensure that we're engaging, our population to ensure proper exposure, removing any barriers, and connecting them with resources that look similar to them that can help expose them to the expertise of that particular area. I love to call our more so high school STEM program, I say that's our niche program. And what we do in that program is we spend 8 months out of the year teaching high school students full stack web development. So going from the data side, the security, data retrieval, design, we teach them all of that. And they have an opportunity in the month of August to compete for scholarships. So it's a really exciting time because you see students that had minimal exposure to technology partner with students that have significant exposure. They form a team and they produce amazing outcomes. So it's always nice to see how well that program is doing. The second piece is our collegiate program. We've had a really close relationship with Georgia State University. We're looking to expand that to other universities. But basically what we want to do there is the same thing we do with our professional group. And that's expose them to emerging trends in technology, help them with professional development. So whether it's interviewing, resumes, technology interviews, just ensuring that as they explore that new career path, we can remove any barriers of intimidation, right? Any feelings of not belonging, right? So we love participating in those type of activities. And at the end of this meeting, we'll actually share a new exciting opportunity that we'll have going forward within BDP Atlanta, which will focus on our college population, right? So really excited about that. One piece I'll touch on with our high school group as well, if you're a first generation technologist, right? So let's say you're leaving high school and you're going to college, especially if you're a first generation college student. One thing that happens when you explore technology, and many of us can attest to it if you went that route, is that you take these classes that we consider weed out classes, right? So if you didn't have exposure to programming and you get in that first or second class and it's really challenging, many times you end up dropping from the computer science curriculum. And usually you go into a business curriculum of some sort. But what we want to do in BDP Atlanta is ensure when you get into those classes that you feel like you belong, that you have at least the exposure and skill set to survive those first few classes. Because as most of us know, especially just from a coding standpoint, the latter classes are not that challenging, right? So if we can get you through those initial programming classes, we feel that you will stick with the computer science curriculum throughout your college career. So really, really excited about that program. The last group are professionals. Very similar to the call we're doing tonight. What we do is we try to host monthly calls focused on exposing our professionals to emerging trends in technology and professional development. We've had many series over the last year and a half that I think contributed heavily to many of our participants. The beauty of it is that we also have those recordings. So if there's a topic that you're interested in, you can go to our YouTube channel or to atlantabdpa.org, and you're able to get to some of that content. We've had series on security, cybersecurity. We've had series on agile, project management, et cetera. So really good series out there that touch a variety of topics that I think impacts a great group of people. All right, so in August, we will have our national conference. Our national conference will be held in Atlanta this year. The verdict is still out, whether or not we're going to have a hybrid conference, and what that means is, we'll be in person as well as virtual. For the last 2 years, we've had to do virtual conferences, but they're really pushing, if the pandemic would allow it, to have a in-person portion of the conference. I'm looking forward to that. Currently, the national organization are looking for people from Atlanta that can assist in planning out that. So if you're interested, definitely let me know, because I think it could be a really exciting time. But again, we want to ensure that we represent Atlanta well. All right. And so the last piece, many of the things we do within BDPA Atlanta, especially our student programs, we rarely ask for funds from our participants. We try to cover as much as possible, travel, hotel stay, food, for our participants, especially when they're at national conference, right? How do we do that? We do that through sponsorship, right? So when members join BDPA, half of their membership goes to the national organization, half of their membership goes to the local organization. So that's something that assists us, maintain our Zoom licenses, maintain our MailChimp, et cetera. And then when we go out to sponsors, that allows us to fund our students, provide scholarship dollars, and just do unique things that help encourage the students that are committed to our organization, as well as our professionals. So with that, at this time, I just want to recognize a couple of our sponsors that have significantly contributed to BDPA Atlanta over the last year. One being State Farm. You'll notice that I am wearing my State Farm 100 shirt today, and I'll talk a little bit more on that as we get into the discussion. But State Farm over the past 7 years have contributed over $100,000 to BDPA Atlanta. They've contributed 40 plus laptops to BDPA Atlanta and our sister organization, STEAM Sport. And they contributed their facility pre-COVID to many of our student programs as well as our professional programs. So we definitely want to give a shout out to State Farm, appreciate the continued partnership with our organization. They just again contributed another $15,000 to BDPA Atlanta. That check should be in the mail now. So we're really excited about that because it helps us help others. And that's what we're all about. Secondly, and I am going to bring him on to not only introduce his organization, but also to introduce us into our topic for today. John Varick, JV from Matrix Resources. Matrix has come in, rejoined BDPA, and has been an amazing partner. They've consistently contributed to our monthly meetings, planning, finding speakers, putting the advertisements out, marketing material. They have just been a tremendous help. Everything we've done over the last year is a direct result of the engagement with Matrix Resources. I can't say how much of a help it's been. If you consider over the last year and a half, even with the pandemic, we have not missed a monthly meeting, right? we've consistently had meetings every month. And that's thanks to Matrix Resources. So I do want to bring John on to say a few words about Matrix Resources, and then get Shanika and I queued up for this great dialogue.
Thank you, Victor. It's been a great 1.5-year partnership. Have enjoyed it so much. And I guess before this gets away, again, congratulations to Shanika here for stepping into the president's seat. And look forward to hearing you guys talk about that president to president handoff here and some of the plans for this year. So yeah, Matrix has been around for 38 years now in Atlanta, and we have offices across the country, and help people navigate their careers in the IT space, and help companies with their resource needs, albeit through staffing, direct hire, or our professional services group, which is DevOps and agile transformation, modernization of systems. So that's Matrix. I run our Atlanta office and our Birmingham office. Have been with Matrix for 28 years now, so a long time. Ken and I worked together at Matrix a lifetime ago. So and we used to live in the same neighborhood too. So
that's right.
Yeah.
I used to work at Matrix. Excellent company.
Yeah. And Ken's an excellent person. So I'm so glad to see you on the screen with us today. So yeah, and I agree, Victor, it's been this last year, we've done so many great things. I think the partnership has been like truly complementary. I love kids, you love kids. I mean, and your passion to, be involved in the STEM aspect of that, and all of the mentoring and all of those workshops that you and Shanika are involved with. Us helping with the monthly meeting and finding speakers, relevant topics, helping with all of that, freed you guys up to elevate your game with everything you're doing with the kids. So it really, it just turned out so well, I think. So anyways, so our first meeting here to kick off 2022, new president. So we're gonna have a president handoff, hear about the 2022 plans, some of the ideas around topics for the year. We thought it made sense to have some just authentic reflection back on the year and some of the things that Victor did, that Shanika did, that giving back to the community and what that was like, what you did, what that how that affected you. So those are just some of the things that we wanted to cover tonight. And I'll let you guys kind of get things started here. Victor, we're gonna miss you being at the helm here, but you're passing it off to a great person.
Awesome. So Shanika?
Sure.
Good job.
So I know like earlier we were, I think Victor, you were getting into a bit on the programs. So I guess in addition to the programs and kind of plans for this year, I was also curious about if there are more details to share, I guess, the workshops that we hope to provide for the professionals coming up. Just to get started, just still sticking to kind of the plans for 2022.
Yeah, definitely. So, as you think through it, in 2021, we focused a lot on exposure. So ensuring that, some of the trends in technology, those that participated in our monthly meetings had an opportunity to gain awareness around those topics, right? So in 2022, we're going to continue the awareness piece, but now we also want to add a component to it that's a little bit more hands-on. What we realize about that is the more specific you get on topics, the harder it is to attract folks to participate because you're going into niche spaces, right? So we understand that we're trying to come up with a meaningful way to incorporate the workshops to complement some of the sessions that we'd have. So if we're having sessions on cybersecurity, how do we bring a focus in to actually allow those participating to get a little bit more hands-on, resume-worthy experience, right? So yeah, you're not going to be an expert, but at least if you go into an interview and you're asked a question about a particular technology, you'll feel comfortable letting that interviewer know at least that you have exposure to it and what you've done with that exposure. So really excited about that. We haven't nailed down exactly how we're going to execute on the workshop piece, but that's a component of the program that I've always been excited about. It's a component that we explore heavily with our high school students. So I want to really just migrate that over into the professional side as well. So our professionals, especially those that are career changers, would feel comfortable as well, you know, as they explore new technical adventures, I would say.
I'd probably add to that as well. There is a small poll that we started to post. Should be posting it more on social media, just to also better gauge the audience and our members about their skill set. So that will also help us fine tune content that we'll offer in the future. So keep a lookout for that. I think so far maybe it was only in the newsletter that kind of came out, maybe a week or two ago, and maybe on Meetup. But should be plugging that a bit more on social media as well. So if you could at least list a little bit of your skill set, that could kind of also help us tailor the workshops to something you might be more interested in.
Yeah, love leveraging crowdsourcing.
Let's see. I think another plug too, I know that we were talking about this a little bit with John, is again, pandemic willing, we're also looking into maybe having something in person this year. So also keep a lookout for that. And I guess gauging interest on what might be, we're gauging folks' interest on what they might want to come out and experience for like kind of our first sessions in person in, nearly 2 years. So anything else you'd want to add just towards 2022 plans, Victor?
Yeah, so if you're marking your schedule up, I would say, have a look out for cybersecurity series. We're probably going to touch on Agile again, just to go through that series, because it's always fresh. And I think that's relevant content. Something that we discussed, but I'm not sure if we'll be able to touch on in 2022 is both when we talk about things like Bitcoin, when we talk about blockchain, distributed ledgers, and NFTs. NFTs are really hot right now. Outside of understanding what it means, I'm not sure that I have a decent enough understanding of it. So I think that will be an awesome topic to bring into the fold for a conversation. And if we were to do that, it probably will be later in the year. Something that's going to be pretty special. And JV, I don't even know if I should pull this out because I should ensure that I do a good job on this first. I think that's going to be really special, that I am extremely, extremely excited about. If you do not know Carla Harris, if you do not know her, you probably should YouTube her, just so you can become familiar with her. I have the pleasure and opportunity to interview her. I believe it's on the 26th, so a week from today, where we will do a fireside chat. She is a financial guru, first woman on Wall Street. She's African American. She's a best recording gospel artist. She's amazing.
Harvard undergrad, Harvard MBA, vice chairman, and yeah.
Look at many commencement services, and she's going to drop some jewels on you. And when you hear her speak, you'll know what I'm talking about. she's an amazing person. I have the opportunity to sit down and speak with her in a week's time. So what we'll do, that's not going to be a live session. We're going to record it, and then we're going to have a live showing. Now, look, for those that may be watching online, for those that are on the call right now, if you're going to participate with that live showing, we're trying to figure out a way to give you access to her book, right? So keep an eye out on that, but I'm really excited, either way it goes, just hearing her, you'll be blessed. So really excited about that as well.
Yeah, and we have commitment on the books, Victor. So no worries there. So Matrix is going to fund distribution of those books. So we'll figure out the logistics and everything of that. But yeah.
Awesome. And Shanika dropped it in the chat, but I will restate it as well. As we go through the conversation, I do believe in transparency. Definitely want to share as much as I can from my experience with a volunteer membership organization and the impact it has on the community. I know Shanika will get into some career-related things and myself. So definitely any questions that you all may have for me that Shanika can pose during this discussion, feel free to drop it in the chat.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, Victor. That's an assist for, I think we can maybe move on to next. So I know we were talking about reflections or wanting to get into reflecting a bit. So to reflect on your community involvement and I guess how that makes you feel and why you continue to do it. I guess we could start there and I'll try to see what other questions I can add to that.
Awesome. So there are a few components to my community engagement, right? So one, growing up in Chicago, right? I have an affinity for people that have similar experiences to myself. And what I mean, I didn't see a computer, really until I made high school. Yes, we had little computers in the corner of our classroom in elementary school that no one was allowed to touch. But really, I didn't engage with a computer until high school. And as I look back, it put me at a tremendous disadvantage, right? It put me at a huge disadvantage. So whenever I have the opportunity to expose others to things that I knew I didn't have exposure to that could transform their lives, it's important for me to take advantage of that, right? Now, I grew up in a very low income community where not only did we not have access to computers, but we didn't have access to the things that I think would have allowed us to compete better, for those different levels. So going to high school, going to college, like we just didn't have access to the resources or people that would influence you to grow in those areas. So for me, when I think about giving back, I think about that little boy in Chicago that didn't know anything, that was just trying to avoid danger. I think about him and I say, how can I impact his life, right? How can I impact her life? So when I came to Atlanta, I wanted it to be Chicago, but I came to Atlanta and I'm like, okay, how can I do that within this city of Atlanta, within this metro Atlanta space? And so for me, it's just always been a passion. I have a certain skill set. All right, I am technical, highly technical. And I understand what that means to transform in a community, like to take that skill set, go into a professional environment, whether it's corporate, entrepreneurial, consultant, whatever it is, but to take that skill set and transform your community. So in whatever ways I can, I love exposing youth to that. I'm not forgetting about the adults, but I love exposing youth. So that was my introduction into BDPA Atlanta, actually. I came to Atlanta in 2014. A goal of State Farm, wherever we go, we like to be embedded into the community and assist. I was looking very similar to Chelsea. I was looking for organizations that represented what I represented. And BDPA was one of those organizations. I volunteered. And as everyone know, when you volunteer and raise your hand, they get their hooks in you and they don't let you go. But I was extremely excited because BDPA had a youth program where they taught computer science to students. And that was really the thing that just motivated me to continue to be engaged.
Yeah, I remember like kind of when you're talking about your background, Victor, like one of the first things when I met you, like being a recent college grad, was I think you're asking, am I like first generation? So kind of also linking that experience and getting to where I am now after that initial interaction. I did have, I think, another question around, I think probably how you balance this, like, so balancing your community outreach. So I've heard people say, so there is work-life balance, but then I've also heard some people say like it's not really balanced. Like there's never a state, like a equilibrium state that you reach. It's kind of balancing. So probably your thoughts around that and like balancing, I guess, your work and community outreach on kind of keeping things going.
Yeah, so now you're going to get the philosophical, Victor. So first off, you have to have a great team around you, right? So on this call, we have many people that contribute to BDP Atlanta in different ways. Ken is here, you're here, John's here, Misha's here, Atobre's here. Like we have folks that, you know, play a role that's significant for the organization. Now for myself, overall, I have my hand in many pots, right? So I work for BDPA doing some of the STEM work as well as doing some of the professional organizing. And then I coach basketball teams. You know, I have teams that I lead professionally, you know, from a work standpoint. You know, I'm an entrepreneur in spirit and heart. So there are companies that I'm trying to build. So there are many things that I have my hand in. And the one thing I always fall back on is there's seasons, right? Similar to, well, Atlanta doesn't get many seasons. People say it gets 4 seasons, but I don't believe in it. But as we know, if we were to take that philosophy of 4 seasons, what I know about my life is that there are going to be certain seasons where certain things gets more priority, right? Where I'm giving more attention and time to it. What does that mean? That means that in other areas of my life, although I'm giving time and attention to it, I'm not giving what some people may consider my best, right? So some people may look at it and say, oh, Victor, you're falling off in that particular area, when in reality, I know I purposefully scaled back in that space because something else based on the season I'm in at that time deserved more of my attention. So the way that I quote unquote balance it out is just recognizing what season I'm in, recognizing the thing that deserves my attention at that time, and giving that my my best attentions while not disowning the other things, right? Because it's extremely important. And sometimes you got to have those heart to hearts with the folks close to you, just so they know, like, hey, it's not that I'm falling off. It's not that I'm not giving attention to it. It's not that I'm not paying attention to you. It's just I'm in this different season and this thing at this moment needs me to give additional attention to it, right? And Shanika, as you know, we've known each other for a while now. I do a lot. And what I will tell people, there's a sacrifice of sleep there as well. So, you know, I sacrifice a lot of sleep to sometimes be up at midnight or 3 a.m. just to ensure certain things move well. But I will say, you know, I'm fully committed to all aspects of what I do, but I do recognize that some things aren't going to appear to be as successful at all times. Right? And I'm okay with that. As long as I'm okay with it, I'm good, because other people's perspective, it is what it is.
I think that balancing could also, we could transition a little bit into just hearing about your career path. And one of the questions and maybe you can break it down a little bit, but I know within, like, definitely here since being in Atlanta, you've switched hats a bit. So like when I was meeting you, it was kind of more on the recruiting side, and then on to technical manager and now director. So I guess I was curious about your way for approaching, I guess, these different, I guess, hats and like switching up, and I guess a little bit of a follow-up to it is just like if like changing skills and kind of doing things that are maybe not like completely opposite, but just different, like a different wheelhouse, how you kind of approach that, or had any concerns with doing those switches?
Yeah, so I think to first approach that question, I have to go back to Illinois, right? So in Illinois, I was a software developer, seen as highly technical, and that's kind of what I hang my head on is my technical skill set. And many times in your career, you'll be challenged to say, okay, we understand you do X well, but can you do Y? Right. So for me, I had an opportunity to move over into our HR department for a leadership development assignment to assist in the, attracting of talent, from a technology standpoint. So I was able to take my technical background, apply it to HR, assist the recruiters in bringing in technical talent. So with that, I saw that I had a skill set. I'm like, not only am I highly technical, but if you give me an opportunity, I can sell ice to Eskimos, right? So I have a gift, right? And I recognized quickly that I could do a lot with that gift. So the ability to translate highly complex technical topics to business executives while also being able to take that same topic and have a very engaging conversation with a highly technical person, you don't find many people that can do both well, right? And so I was one that you could take to a professional event, to a college campus, and whatever level of person needed to be talked to, like I could do it in a moment, right? So I realized I had a gift. So I had an opportunity, and I do encourage everyone that their lifestyle would allow this. I had an opportunity to relocate from Illinois to Georgia, with the focus being on recruiting technical talent back to State Farm, right? That was the entire focus. So they were going to pay me to go out and talk to people about technology, right? And I just was like, man, this is the best of both worlds. Not only do I get relocated and get a relocation package, but I also get to just talk to people about technology and try to give them jobs. I'm like, that's amazing. So I came, to Georgia with that focus. But I knew because of my experience, on the technical side, that by doing that very well, people would assume that I wasn't technical, right? Because in a large organization like the one I'm a part of, it's very easy for you to work with entirely different groups of people, right? So I knew my time would be short in the attracting talent, and I would have to move back into the technical space at some point. So with that, after a few years, we started with 6 people in Atlanta, and by the time I left from that role, we had over 400 technical folks, Shanika being one. And with that, people would come to State Farm, like our executives, and they would have conversations. And at that time, like 1 of 4 people were hired by me. Like I was the reason that they came to State Farm. So when you think about that, it makes you feel really good. But I knew, again, it was short-lived. I had to get back to the technical side to show my technical chops. So with that, took on an opportunity to lead a DBA team, which was, again, was outside of my skill set. Right? I was a software developer and I was leading a DBA team. And I will be the first to say, I didn't respect DBAs for what their skill set was until I began leading the team. Right? I'm like, oh, those are just the people who set up the databases, maybe put some credentials in, configure a few things, whatever. Like they're not that important. Software developers, software engineers rule the world. When I took on that effort, it exposed me to the fact that I wasn't as technical as I thought I was. These folks were extremely more technical than me. The depth that they went to in their skill set was much deeper, and it challenged me in order to represent them well, to do the same, to go study, to go learn, to challenge myself, definitely. And so that was my first exposure to really not knowing something. And if you know me, like I hate not knowing. Like, it's just not good for me. I love being an expert. But it humbled me in a way that, made me go out and not only depend on my team more, but forced me to go out and learn more. And I think that leads into your follow-up question with going and doing things differently. So now, fast forward a few years, I'm completely out of the technology space. I'm in internal audit, right? So when you think about career path, and here I am, a software engineer at heart, but in an internal audit organization. Now, I'm blessed because I have accountability for mainly auditing technology solutions, technology platforms. So, that's within my wheelhouse, but I will tell you, this is a completely different space. And to your question, Shanika, one of the things I constantly challenge us on is that sometimes we don't want to take on opportunities unless we're the expert, right? Unless we, as we know in our communities, you have to know 10 times more, right? And if you don't, like, you don't even want to try it, right? And I definitely see this amongst our women, is that they definitely aren't going to take the risk. If they're not the expert and they don't feel like they can walk in day one, ruling it, it's like, no, I'm not going to even try it. So for me, I wanted to be an example. I wanted to say, hey, as I tell you or as I coach you to do, I also do. So I wanted to take on an opportunity that I had minimal exposure to. I definitely wasn't the expert, right? It forces me to depend on my team, and it forces me to grow a skill set that I didn't have. And at the end of the day, if I were going to be unsuccessful, at least I knew I tried. The beauty of it is 7 months later, I feel I've already achieved a great deal of success, right? So I just encourage anyone that's in a similar situation, take a bet on yourself. If you know you're going to put in the hard work to be an expert, don't feel like you have to be that day one. You can definitely challenge yourself and grow in the role. So with that, Shanika, I'm going to flip it a little bit back to you, because I know you were at State Farm for a number of years, and I guess I can say the company. You were at State Farm for a number of years, and then you transitioned into a consultant role. So tell us, like, how did that work for you?
Let's see. So it's definitely been a learning experience. So again, State Farm was my first role since graduating. So even interviewing somewhere else, that was all a new experience. And since being, I guess, with ThoughtWorks, it's going on, this July will make 3 years. It's been kind of hopping around in different roles. Definitely started out in a role that I didn't have a background in. So I'm a developer. I was doing QA engineering, and so that was completely new. And I think similar to like what you were saying earlier, Victor, about just kind of being open with your team and like transparent. I definitely was transparent that, hey, I'm a developer. This is new. I'll do the best I can.
Developer, we don't believe in testing.
Well, so at least from State Farm, I learned that testing is an important thing. So that's something that I learned, at least like on the developer end of it, like the unit testing. But kind of that other world of kind of looking at an application like more holistically, that was something that was new to me. So starting out with that, it was definitely uncomfortable. But I think just trying it out, and like feedback that I would receive over time was that, yeah, you're doing great. Like no one's concerned with any kind of degrade in quality or anything. So that was good to hear. And I think just kind of boosts your confidence that, hey, I could try something new and still benefit others and benefit myself with trying something different. And it also opened up my network of people that I would reach out to for questions as well. So just getting comfortable asking for help and just reaching out to other folks. So and now I'm, I guess, a bit more in a more comfortable role of being a developer. But I think what I've been where I've been growing recently is trying to see how to, I guess, grow more as a mentor. So how, as a developer, how can I kind of help out other developers that are kind of starting out, that are, I guess, like colleagues, and also how to not necessarily lead a team. Like, I don't know if it's for me, I've never really seen myself as like management, but being able to still guide and help people out and try to think of ways that like recognizing their gifts and ways that I could suggest to help them develop. That's kind of where I'm trying to grow now. So definitely not an expert, but that's where I feel like it's kind of like the next area to grow on top of just getting better as a developer. So.
Well, Shanika, someone told me since I moved into internal audit that I was no longer in the technology club. They told me I got kicked out the technology club. I could no longer claim my software engineer status. You know, my degree from Georgia Tech doesn't matter. I moved into internal audit, so I no longer can claim it. You know, I'm no longer a technologist anymore.
I guess I think it's really, and what I try to share with people, it's really just problem solving. So as long as you can break down a problem, like the coding is another piece of it, but it's really problem solving. So that's what I try to tell people, and anyone I'm trying to convince to kind of come over to the developer side. But as long as you can problem solve, I think you'll be fine. I think what I got from what you were describing, Victor, is like recognizing your gifts and I guess your strengths for how to kind of approach different hats. I was curious also, so just the if there, I guess, any pros and cons that you kind of weigh out when you're approaching these different roles. So if there's a new opportunity coming up, and you're kind of I guess it's not necessarily on the fence, but you're kind of weighing, what do I gain or what do I lose from taking that role? I guess, how do you kind of maybe approach that, like weighing out those kind of things?
Yeah, so great question. What I try to do is I love doing things in threes. It just makes sense to me. And in taking on a new role, especially if I don't have exposure, and sometimes even if I do have exposure to the skill set, I try to be very transparent with myself, right? So I first ask myself three questions, like, what do I fear? So what do I fear going into that role? What am I looking to contribute? So what's an immediate contribution that I can bring to the role? And then who are the people I need to connect with within that role, right? So if I take the role that I recently moved into, I had a tremendous fear, right? So not understanding the background of the organization and not expecting everyone to, the group that I joined, the department that I joined, just went through a significant change, right? Impacted many people within that department. And here I was, a person coming over into that space as a core leader that didn't have the core skill set of that space, right? So will I be accepted? Yes, like we still ask ourselves those questions, like, will I be accepted? Will the skill sets that I bring over be valued for what it is, right? So that was my fear. Will I be accepted? They just went through a significant change. Here I am, an outsider, right? Coming in to help influence their future direction, right? So that was an immediate fear, right? And then when I look at what do I bring to the table, right? So because I did not have the core skill set of this space, in my mind, it's definitely not process oriented. I'm more on the, hey, I got an innovative thought. I'm going to tell it to you. Hopefully you can run with it because I'm jumping on to the next innovative thought. Like that's overall like the way I think. And I was going into a space that was very, very process oriented. But one of the benefits that I have that I can consistently translate no matter where I go is leadership, right? I know without anyone saying it to me that I can lead, right? So I can influence, I can help at least encourage others, especially those going through significant issues. There are many things that I can do for you because it's just a part of me, like temperament. I know I can walk into tough situations and I can deal with it because of my upbringing. Like I was in really tough situations as a youngster. So the tough situations I deal with in a corporate world, they're not as challenging for me. I have empathy. Like I sympathize for folks that are dealing with things, and it translates very easily because people know it's authentic, right? So I knew that I could bring that to the table, and the benefit or the blessing of that is that has allowed me tremendous success within the space. I built relationships with people within a day that others are like, man, they're telling you that already? I'm like, yeah, because folks feel your energy. Like they feel your energy. They know if it's real or not. That little spidey sense on their neck, or what, that sixth sense, like they know whether or not you're real. Right. So that's that piece. And then the last piece is, who do I need to connect with? I think it's extremely important to have a great relationship with the people you lead. Right. So I ensured that I made intentional efforts to build that relationship even before I came over to the group. It's to show like, hey, I'm here for you. Anything you need, I'll try to remove barriers of entry for you. So that was extremely important. And then meeting with my peers was extremely important as well. But I always go into it by asking myself, 3 questions. What do I fear? What are the things I can bring to the table? And then who are the people that I need to connect with?
Cool. Thanks, Victor. Building relationships we'll go back to that a little later. But first, you mentioned earlier that you do have your graduate degree at Georgia Tech. And I remember a couple years ago when you were mentioning that you're starting. So I see that definitely is one of the ways that you continue to grow. But I was also just, I guess, your views on how you should continue to grow, and I guess your approach to just growth and continuing to learn, like being a continuous learner that most technologists are.
Yeah. So one thing from a continuous learning, continuous growth standpoint is to surround yourself with people that are also doing the same. Like it's very easy to become stagnant, right? Especially when you're at an organization where you feel your core skill set will provide you opportunities for a sustained amount of time, right? So, let's say you're a Java developer and you're working at a Java shop, like a company that primarily leverages Java. We understand that Java, has different versions, but overall, the core of Java is not going to change much, right? So if that's your skill, then you can make a good living at certain corporations without bringing in different innovative technologies into your tool set, right? Like you can make a pretty good living. For me, I've always challenged myself to not only have technical skills, soft skills, relatable skills. Like I've challenged myself to just do many things. Communicating, like it's extremely important to me, and I don't have to sound like other people. I have to be myself, but I have to be comfortable communicating, right? So you'll see behind me here, I have so many resources, from leadership books, just personal development books, technology books, leaning on those resources to help encourage me, but also expose me to things that I may not have exposure to, and to be example for others, right? So if I want to mentor Shanika and I want to give her relevant information, that means that I have to be engaged with relevant information, whether it's from a technical standpoint, leadership standpoint, professional development standpoint, whatever it is, like I have to be engaged with that. And as I stated earlier, I don't like to not know. So I always challenge myself to know different things. Right now, something that's really huge for me is entrepreneurship and just learning different aspects of what it takes to be an entrepreneur, understanding taxes, understanding business formation, like a lot of those things. And there are folks that pour back into me to help expose me to that information. And then as they recommend books to me, I go and get those books and make them a part of my library, and we go from there. But I would say the first thing is just to surround yourself around people Not that they have to be doing the exact same thing, but they're at least going in a similar direction.
Cool. I think to circle back on building relationships, I remember when I was maybe first, I guess, officially joining BDPA, I mentioned a want for me was expanding my network. And you mentioned helping me with that, and definitely being a part of the organization has helped with that. So I wanted to hear your views on growing your circle, expanding your network, and I guess the benefits from doing that.
Yeah, so first let me say, for people like me, for people that look like me, Atlanta is like crazy good for expanding your network. So I'm not saying that the things I'm going to say is translatable everywhere. I hope it is, but I haven't attempted it everywhere, right? But I think the thing that I did was intentionally went around to find groups that had participants. So they didn't have to be minority-based membership groups or minority-based professional organizations, but I at least wanted to see people that represented me in those groups. And when I found those groups, I embedded myself. I contributed as much as I could to those groups. I raised my hand to volunteer for different opportunities, and through that, it helped me build, just build a circle, build a tribe. And you find people eventually that you're connected with more than others. But I say, it becomes more organic the more you do it, and you find that, oh man, now I know a significant amount of people. Because when I think about what I've done with BDP Atlanta, what I've done on the college scene, what I've done in other professional organizations, the template has been really similar. Hey, go out there, go to these spaces. Like, for example, on the college campus. Yes, sir. My phone's still dead. Your phone's still dead? Okay, how about I plug it up here and it's going to charge, and tomorrow it will not be dead. How does that sound? Okay, all right, go find brother. You want my phone? No. You want to watch my phone? How about no? You could go find brother and you all could play a game in your room. How about that? No negotiating. All right, I'm good now. So, in the work from home world, you have to always be ready to adjust to give attention to the little people as they come around. But no, so Shanika, you have to help me. Where was I at?
So let's see, contributing to groups that after finding groups that represent you, contributing, raising hand to volunteer.
Yeah. So one thing I did that I thought was really interesting, and it helped just propel my relationships in Atlanta, was on all college campuses that I went to, like I would spend time volunteering agnostic of my organization. So not necessarily representing State Farm, but I would go on my time to help them with resumes, to help them interview, to expose them to technologies, to give them hints and tips on how to build their technical portfolio online. And through that, like people would begin to request me to their career services department. Like, hey, that guy Victor, like, can he come? So then I began not teaching, but representing State Farm in classrooms and different things like that. But it's really just making yourself a servant, like showing people that I'm willing to assist in whatever capacity. We see, my contributions to BDPA, but I think some of the other things as well. When you raise your hand and show that you're willing to assist and you're not looking for something in return, like I think people respect that. And so that has allowed me to truly build just a tribe around me that's amazing, that contributes to me in awesome ways.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, I think since like volunteering, I guess, kind of maybe initially it was on behalf of like State Farm, and then playing around with WIT, Girls Who Code. Even this past year, got to volunteer with Sprout for the first time. So learning about different organizations and learning different groups to kind of reach out to. So it's been a learning experience, and I try to also like pull in like friends too for different programs. So so it's been good, and yeah, thanks for pulling me in, Victor.
Yeah, I think that's something we don't talk about enough, Shanika. So what you just said, right? So I volunteered for multiple organizations. I met you through Georgia State University, right? You came to State Farm. We had this co-worker mentoring relationship. You began to volunteer with organizations that I volunteered for. And then what did? You pulled other people along to do the same. So it's like a web. And although some of the people you pull into your volunteer sphere or your tribe, I may not directly be connected with them, but I can guarantee if there's something they need and I can provide insights to it through that web of connection, like you'll connect us. And I think that's the beauty of our network, is that it goes deep. Our network goes deep. So now that's amazing.
Sure. Well, I think so. I don't see any other questions in the chat. So, but I'll open it up again for if anyone wanted to ask any questions to me and Victor related to BDPA or like our time here in Atlanta in general. So.
And as people think of questions, I'll just go back to the reason I wore the State Farm 100-year shirt today. State Farm was the reason that I initially got engaged with BDPA, right? Yes, it was my passion that kept me, but State Farm was that reason. And not only was State Farm that reason, but State Farm continues to be an amazing support of BDPA Atlanta, right? So, in this transition, I did want to just reflect on the fact that, I wouldn't have been able to do many of the things that I've done without the support of State Farm. 2 years ago, Georgia State students, I believe we had about 35 Georgia State students participate in the national conference. State Farm sponsored all of those students just based on a communication from myself and Etobre. They sponsored all of the students, right? So there are things like that that occurs on the back end that many people don't see. But I did want to give my hats off to State Farm for their continued involvement, continued engagement. And we are looking for other people to do the same. All right. So I just love opening it up because I know some folks, whether it's monetarily, time, whatever the case may be, they are willing to donate. They're willing to be engaged. They're just looking for the right opportunity, right? And Shanika, I know we have our coding STEM group kicking off next month. We're still looking for volunteers. If you want to be a Zoom monitor or if you want to be a trainer, like we're looking for volunteers to help support that program as well. So wanted to put a plug out there.
So a question as relates to 2022, and with the whole remote virtual scenario that we have, are we seeing any less impact or increased impact for the training of the kids and students for the BDPA young folks?
I would say, and Shanika, I'll let you jump in because you coordinate majority of that. My immediate observation is that, for the kickoffs, so like within like the first couple of months, we've seen a sustained participation, but very similar to what occurs, when we're meeting in person. As we get into the latter months, get into the summer months, there's a drop off. We're trying to figure out the right approach to help maintain the attendance and the participation, because we know on the back end, the students will greatly benefit. I will say an additional benefit is that students don't have to travel to our facilities. So, although we see a drop off, we are still seeing a greater number of attendees overall on average. And I believe it's because they don't have to travel. And I want to say we even had someone from either Florida or Canada participating, which was
Yeah.
Shanika. So I'll let Shanika knows the real number, so I'll let her give
Well,
the.
I don't really have a number to provide, but yeah, we definitely had some students from other parts of the country participating and international. So one of the students, she was actually one of the younger competitors as well. So she went on to do the research program and presented and got a lot of feedback where they're like, yeah, you should definitely come back next year when you're of age so you can actually get scholarship money because you would definitely place. So I think, I think being virtual has allowed different students from probably maybe spots that don't have a chapter to participate. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I'm kind of hoping that kind of has also helped with volunteering, like not having to wake up as early to drive. but I think in general, like probably how to, I guess, keep students interested and engaging is probably just one of those, like, not necessarily fundamental things, but probably also what schools have to deal with as well. Like, how do you keep people younger than you engaged? Like, I feel, as I get older, I maybe don't really know how to approach kids anymore. So I don't know. So
And it forced us to try to leverage. We're still figuring this out, but try to leverage technology in a different way. I know we've established a contract with Replit, and I don't know if that's how you really say it or not. But it's an online platform where you can have a consistent development environment. I know one of the challenges we've had in the past is one student has a Mac, one student has a Windows computer, somebody has a Chromebook, and just setting all of those machines up took a significant amount of time from our trainers. So now that we have an online platform that we're still trying to figure out how to use in the right way, but overall, I think it's a good platform. And now that we have that, it will help, just put us in a different space as we continue to embrace this virtual training world.
Yeah, I think, Replit, I think, allowed us to not have to do all that workstation setup. And through William Oliver with SteamSport, he also offered for students that may not have computers for them. So those are some of the things that I think within the past couple of years we've been able to help out with too. But we'll see. Like applications are open for this upcoming season for students and volunteers. So need to continue to plug it and see what's on the horizon for this season. Any additional questions?
Hey, Shanika, this is Misha. So is it posted somewhere, like all of the different opportunities for volunteering with the students?
Maybe not officially posted, but that's good. Probably feedback to like officially have it posted somewhere. And like to really maybe bump it more on the social media. Because definitely probably some technical instructors for the coding camp, and then the data analytics if there's folks familiar with that, and data science, and then research, which I know you're helping out last year, Misha, and just what it takes to kind of do research and formulate a proper paper, and mobile. So that's probably, I think, the general list, right, Victor?
Yeah, and we didn't plant Misha, but Misha, I think you asked an excellent question that will lead into our finale of this meeting. But Misha, what I'll also throw out there, as I mentioned earlier in the meeting, is that the national organization, as they're looking to have a hybrid conference, is again, similar to the role you played last year, are looking for folks that can help plan out activities for in-person events in Atlanta for the national conference. So your name immediately came to mind when they reached out to me. So I'll at least throw a plug out there at this point. We can chat about it later. If that's something you're interested in, Shanika and I and you, we can chat about what it will look like. And of course, we're trying to recruit others as well that may want to serve on that national conference committee. Unfortunately, I'm just not in the know enough for the city to understand what will be meaningful to pursue from in-person type events, but definitely will support in whatever way I can as well.
Okay, yeah, we can connect.
Yeah. All right, Shanika, as we're hitting 7:56, do you want me to jump to the announcement that we have?
Yes, please.
All right, so Misha asked a really good question in regards to, is there a location where this information is posted that gives, more information about volunteer opportunities? And I know Shanika mentioned many times on the call, that we have to continue to push and promote different activities we have going on within the organization. So what we are going to begin to do, William Oliver has already done a really good job at leveraging some of his connections within Morehouse and Clark Atlanta to help promote a lot of the programs that we host, especially from a youth standpoint. So what we want to do is we want to do something similar, but directly from a BDPA Atlanta perspective. So what we're going to do, we're going to partner with Georgia State, and we're looking to open it up to other institutions in the future. But what we want to do is bring on a student, and what we want to do is provide more of a scholarship / work study commitment with the student. And really what the student will do is help manage our social media and our website. So they will assist us in promoting our content, as well as ensuring that we keep the information on our site up to date in regards to our meetings, et cetera, right? So in the future, we're definitely going to seek out individuals, or at least have individuals apply, that not only show a desire to be a part of the organization, but we know the funds will be meaningful to their college career. We've gotten awareness from Georgia State University that they had a student that was transitioning from their perimeter college into their main campus, received a associate's at the perimeter college. And because it was kind of an interim semester, the dollars that aligned to their financial aid just didn't cover all of the expenses of the main campus. So what we're doing from a BDPA Atlanta standpoint is forming that partnership and providing the scholarship dollars that will cover, but the student will then be connected with BDPA Atlanta and help address some of our needs, which is, blasting us on all social media platforms that we're associated with. And I guess bringing a little bit more swag to us, because, not that me and Shanika's old or Tobre is old, but, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're not as connected with the younger world as we used to be. I'll say that. So with that, this coming year, we're going to offer a $2,500 stipend / scholarship to a Georgia State University student to help offset some of the costs associated with going from the perimeter campus to the main campus. And so we're really excited about that. So unfortunately, I couldn't design a hoopla kind of thing to put out here. But I do see we have the student online. So I will open it up for that student to say a couple of words to the group and just let us know what that scholarship means to you.
Hi, everyone. I am Kyla Wallace. I am a junior at Georgia State University. I study in business and marketing and things like that. So this is a really great opportunity for me. I am so excited to be working with BDPA Atlanta. I've went to a few events in the past and I enjoyed it so much, especially like the very first day I went in, I was sitting there coding, trying to come up and make games. It was so much fun. So I am so excited to be working with a great team. And yeah, like Victor said, I will just be boosting you guys' organization, boosting your events, hopefully bringing in new people. And with that being said, I will be also promoting, of course, within Georgia State campus, trying to get a little bit more volunteers and, you know, reaching out to other people to see if we can try to get more members.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to have you on board, Kyla, and I'm sure Shanika will leverage your talents and skill set for marketing as much as possible. But again, this is what we believe in BDPA Atlanta. We believe in contributing to our students. Again, as we said, we look at our K through 12 with the focus on high school. We look at our collegiate students, and we also look at our professionals. So again, this is just one way that we want to give back to our collegiate students. And of course, we're going to look for other opportunities as well. So be on the lookout. And with that, I'll hand it back over to Shanika to close us out.
Sure. Thanks, Victor. Congratulations to Kyla. And yeah, looking forward to working with you this year. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining. We'll see you throughout the year and enjoy your evening.
Thank you.
Hey,
Congratulations.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Nika.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So just need to stop the stream. I think I clicked something different this time, so it's not showing up.
Yeah, I think that was a good transition. I forgot to ask you the question of what you're looking forward to, Shanika.
Oh, I don't know.
I mentally meant to ask you that on the fly. It's still going on YouTube?
Yeah,
right
I think you might have to quit it since